After digging, the explorers found four strange idols that left them completely bewildered. The discovery of this mummy, Tutankhamun, not only surprised everyone there, but this statue baffled archaeologists all over the world. It was found 20 feet below the room where Tutankhamun's mummy was locked. Tutankhamun was the youngest king of ancient Egypt, who attained great power at the age of 9. His mummy was found in 1922 in a room where valuable treasures and poo were kept along with the mummy. And this is why Tutankhamun's mummy left the whole world upset. The king, who died at the age of 19, was believed to be possessed by a spirit that was guarding the mummy and treasure. Lord Carnarvon was the man who funded the search for Tutankhamun's mummy. English sources say that Lord Carnarvon died of a mosquito bite shortly after Tutankhamun's mummy was discovered.
Mummy.
The Egyptians used a chemical extracted from a special type of tree called resin to preserve their bodies. This chemical was very expensive, and only rich people could afford it. All the mummies found by archaeologists were coated with resin to prevent the bodies from deteriorating over time. But archaeologists in Australia were just as surprised when they discovered a mummy that was covered with clay instead of resin. This mummy was of a woman who died at about 25 years of age. But there was something else besides soil in its shroud that troubled archaeologists. Laboratory tests revealed that the mummy was 3,000 years old, but the soil around the mummy was planted years after it died. After investigation, it was found that it belonged to a poor woman who could not afford resin. Because of this, he was preserved with earth. But why her mummy was buried years after her death remains a question for archaeologists. Statue of the crocodile, al-Barazat, a city in Egypt where a team of archaeologists was working. Their mission was to find ancient statues and hidden treasures. But one day they were harassed so much that together in one place, more than 100 of their idols, which were not human but were of crocodiles. Thousands of years ago, crocodiles were preserved in a very expensive way. At first, the archaeologists did not understand why the statue of a crocodile was placed here instead of a human being. Later, they saw something written on the cloth of the crocodile's shroud. Then, this type of search changes. Archaeologists were more interested in the inscriptions that were written on each crocodile than in the crocodile itself. In fact, thousands of years ago, the people of the country of Egypt had a relationship with crocodiles and why they were preserved so carefully. The researchers found that the people of Egypt at that time worshipped the crocodile because for them the crocodile was a symbol of power. For that reason, the people of Egypt used to make such idols whose head was like a crocodile and the lower part was like a man.
Gazelles mummy.
Not only mummies of crocodiles, but archaeologists also found many mummies of deer in Egypt. This is the deer mummy you are looking at that died more than 3,000 years ago today, and it is understood that it was a deer kept by a queen. When archaeologists came across the deer while digging, they were surprised to find that the king and queen, along with the deer, had been carefully buried. In other words, the way that is done to preserve the king and queen in the mummy, the deer is preserved in the mummy in the same dignity and kept in the expensive coffin.